Today is Thursday, July 8th, and welcome to the 8:30 show. I'm KJ, and every Thursday night you'll find me here at 8:30 p.m. on YouTube at Metro Conservative Media. Please hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Also, at the same time, I'm also live on Facebook at the Metro Conservative Media page. Please like our page and join the conversation by commenting on this video. We will respond to your comments during the show. This is a show where I chat with various individuals about their conservative journey. Tonight, my guest is political person Jason Stein. He is currently, hey Jason, how's it going?
Going well, yourself?
It's going great, thank you. I was just telling them you are currently the Maryland Young Republican Treasurer and Chairman of the Baltimore Area Young Republicans. So, and that's just a few things. I had your bio and it was so long. I was just like, wow, I didn't know all of this. And you and I both graduated from, or I think you're still going to UMBC. I'm a graduate of UMBC.
Yes, that's correct. I'm still attending UMBC, working full-time, going to school part-time.
Wow. Okay. I did the same thing. So I know that can be kind of tough and it can be a lot. So that's awesome. And then you're doing all of this. So wow, how do you find the time?
I'm okay with sacrificing some sleep. I always tell my girlfriend that usually a few weeks I can go without sleep, but then I'll just need one day just to fully recover and sleep and rest, and I'm good to go. I mean, After spending 6 years in the Navy, I got used to working with little sleep and just making it happen.
Yeah.
And when you got that drive and determination to get it done, you can make a time.
Yeah, I didn't know you were in the Navy also. So are you still in the Navy now, or how does that work?
No, I got out in 2014. I went in right out of high school a week after my 18th birthday in November of 2008. Then I went to boot camp, got stationed in San Diego, spent 6 years out there, went on 2 deployments, one in 2011, one in 2014, right before I got out. Probably the best decision I've ever made.
Wow, that's cool. Okay. And so, I always hear about people on the ships. Like, how is it being on a Navy ship? Were you on the ship?
Yeah, I was on a ship. I was on a destroyer, which is, it's a large ship. It's 500 feet long, but in the Navy sense, it's a smaller one. And you're on the ship. When we go on deployment, you're out there for 7, 8, 9 months at a time with 200 to 300 people. And it's a small space, but from there, you learn to work together. You learn how to let things go. I mean, one day you might get upset with one of your buddies, but that's it. But the next day you're going to see him again and again, and you're just going to have to learn to work with it. So being in the military, I definitely learned to work with everybody, even if I might disagree with you. The mission comes first. I mean, the military, they always teach us shipmate self. The ship, you got to make sure that stays afloat. Your shipmate who you work with, you got to make sure they stay alive. They're good. You're looking out for them. You look out for yourself last. And that's how I've been trying to live my life, is trying to build people up around me, trying to find talent, whether it's in the political realm or just in friendships, where I try to make those connections with people where if they know, if 2 people, they come to an event or a party and they both know me, I'll try to introduce them together, bring them up. So making those connections. So now I'm not just the only person bringing people together, where other people can branch out and grow.
Okay. That's a great way to be, especially if you're in leadership. So, that's awesome. Wow. I didn't know that stuff until I read your bio. So that's pretty cool. Well, we are going, as I generally do with the show, I always start out with a fun, random question and answer segment so the audience can get to know you a little better in kind of a fun, cool way. So it's rapid fire round. So basically I'll ask you questions, and just the first thing that comes to your mind is how you would answer. All right. So it's just a hodgepodge of just random stuff. So, okay. All right. So let's see here. What are you most known for amongst your friends?
Just my determination and loyalty. People know that if they need help, they can always give me a call. Just a few weeks ago, one of my friends, Dan McHugh, his car broke down in Baltimore City. He was down there till like 4 a.m. And he knew that he can rely on me, call me, and I'll be there to help him out. Just that people, that reputation that you make, that someone who's able to get things done. If you need something, they're like, oh man, we can call Jason. He'll be there. He'll help us out. He's a good guy.
That's nice. That's sweet. Okay. All right. Well, speaking of Baltimore, what's your favorite place to eat in Baltimore City?
So I like Riptide by the Bay down in Fells Point.
Okay. Okay.
I love
Sounds
those
like I've
steam
been
pots you
there.
get. I said
Hmm.
they specialize in seafood and steam pots. You can go there and get a bunch of crab, mussels, clams, all steamed up together. Great local place. Great happy hour.
Wow.
And especially
I
during
gotta
the
check it out.
pandemic when everyone shut down, going down to Fells Point during the summer months, it was great because they did the drinks to go. And they had a little farmer's
Hmm.
market there on Saturday down in Fells Point. You're able to get yourself a 32-ounce orange crush, walk around the farmer's market, get some stuff, grab another drink, enjoy the beautiful weather, enjoy the sunset, make a day out of it.
Hmm. Okay. Next question. Yes or no? Equal pay for female and male professional soccer players. Do you think they should? Yes or no?
That's equal pay for equal outcome, I will say. Because at the end of
Okay.
the day, it's still a business. I mean, you pay somebody what they're worth,
Hmm.
and if someone is able to create more revenue for you, then they should be paid more. You should be paid a fair wage for sure.
Okay, but not based off of what they're doing as far as
Uh, the,
soccer. They're all playing
yeah, it's
soccer.
just somebody's their potential, their
Hmm.
what they're able to do is what should be determination of pay.
Okay.
And actually, funny
Uh,
enough, it just came out that this female soccer team actually do get paid more than the male soccer team after like endorsements and commercials and
oh.
advertisements and stuff like that.
Hmm. That's wow. I can't believe they would get more endorsements than the male soccer
Well,
team.
just because they've been more successful on the world stage, winning more tournaments, so they've been able to get more
Okay.
endorsements, sponsorships, and etc.
Okay. All right. Next one is, what is a challenge you would never want to face?
Ooh, being in a pit of snakes.
Oh, you don't like snakes?
Oh, I'm not a big fan of snakes. Also, I was watching
Okay.
Cobra Kai on Netflix. I think it was
Oh
the most
yeah.
recent season, and there's that flashback where they're in Vietnam and they had to fight on the bridge, and the loser will fall into a pit of snakes. And I was like, that's just terrifying to me. I did not. I wouldn't know what to do. I was like, I would I would freeze up and end up
Freeze.
dying most for sure. But yeah,
Oh
being in a
my
pit of
gosh.
snakes.
Okay. Big party or small gathering?
Oh, I love big parties. I love meeting people,
Okay.
love talking to people. I'm an extrovert, going around meeting people, trying to make those connections. And then I started
Mm.
like, and just those personal connections. Everybody has a story that they can tell. I just like to
Okay.
hear people's story, hear their background, hear what makes them them.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, we're more in common than people like to think.
Yeah. All right. Would you support open carry in Baltimore City? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. If you had to choose one of these, what would you? If you had to choose one of these to be, which would you choose? Vain or insecure?
Insecurity, just
Okay.
because insecurity is something that you can grow out of, or somebody like, if
Hmm.
you're insecure, you don't have that. If you have a good backing, a good group of friends, family, they can help push you out of that or help you
Hmm.
with that, overcome those fears of being insecure and those shortcomings that you may think that you have, where in reality, a lot of times you might not think those shortcomings are smaller than you think.
Okay. Um, do you think aliens are among us?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But I'll
We'll
say
leave
it's
it
crazy,
there.
especially on deployment. We're in the middle of the ocean, middle of the
Mm.
night, pitch black, not a ship, not a plane in the sight, not on the radar, not anywhere. And you see these flashing lights up in the sky. You don't know what they are. And you can't.
Uh,
And yeah, it's kind of weird when you're out there in the middle of the ocean and you just see these lights just flying around pretty quick, and you're like, there's literally nothing around for hundreds of miles. So there's definitely something out there.
all right. And then lastly, getting vaccinated now could lead to free ride to college bound youth in Maryland. So the question is, incentives to get vaccinated, cool, or should they be overruled?
The incentives for getting a vaccination, I think it's fine, especially
Okay.
since it's already using money that's been allocated for advertising and promotion for the lottery. It's not taking
Hmm.
extra money from the taxpayers. It's already money that's been spent, that's been raised through taxes. Then they're
Hmm.
wanting to use it this way.
Okay. All right. All right. That's it for our rapid fire round. So just a kind of fun, cool way to get to know you. So next is what we do as far as the bulk of our show is to talk about your conservative journey. So were you raised in a Republican household, or are your parents or your family mostly Republican, or did
My
you grow
family,
up?
they're Republican. When you talk to them about the issues, they're Republican. They're not very active at all.
Hmm.
Definitely in my family, I'm the most active person in the political realm. And
Okay.
my parents never really, looking back, I guess they might have mentioned a few things, but like they never pushed it. They always, and that was with a lot of things. They never pushed their ideology or their opinions on us, and it was always up to us to make our own decision.
Hmm.
And example, like when I was in high school, I was 2008. That was a big election come up, presidential election, and I was like, "All right, this is exciting." And I always tell people like I wasn't like super liberal, but I like, and the example I always give is universal health care. When I first
Hmm.
read about it, now this little 17-year-old Jason in high school, eager and excited, like, oh, this sounds great. This is awesome. Then I started doing my own research on it. And that just led me down this rabbit hole of like conservative governmental values of where that's the better way to run things. Because I mean, you don't want an overbloated bureaucracy running things. You as
Hmm.
an individual know your best choice. And from then, like I started getting involved, started, going to like little different political clubs on campus, started doing like mock trial, model UN, model Congress and such, where we're able to talk about issues where I might not have known, especially like I said, I was 17, I might not have known the most about them, but I definitely had an
Hmm.
opinion. And it was always interesting to me that whenever we had class debates, it was usually myself and if I was lucky, about 2 to 3 other people versus the entire class.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, so obviously some people think I'm wrong. Let me hear them out.
Hmm.
And one thing I always try to do is like, if I might not always agree with you, but I want to understand where you're coming from, hear your story, hear why do you think that way? Why do you believe that's the best? And if I can understand your point of view, that goes a long way. I might
Hmm.
still disagree with you, but just understanding and not just saying, oh, this is what I feel or this is what I believe just because. And that's the end of it.
One thing you brought up is interesting is universal health care, because that's sort of like generally a huge and sticking point or a huge incentive for college students, young people, because they feel like they need health care. So and it was something that's pushed on the left. So how do you talk to college students and things about that as far as why you disagree? What are some of the things or reasons why you disagree with universal health care?
Well, it was because for the average person, college age person, especially like I know myself, I've
Hmm.
since I got out of the Navy, I've been to the doctor 4 times.
Okay.
One of those I didn't have insurance and I paid out of pocket. The other times I had insurance. And just the cost benefit analysis of that, like how much extra universal healthcare would cost and how much I got out of it or how much I utilized it for a
Hmm.
healthy young adult, it's not worth it. But then we also have those safety nets already with Medicare, Medicaid that are for
Hmm.
the people who are poor and old who are unable to get private health care. But those
Hmm.
safety nets are already in place for the most vulnerable people, most vulnerable populations of our country.
Okay.
Then I
Okay.
always explain like with the VA system, when I needed to go in, I just had I don't want to get into particular of it, but I had a small issue I needed to take care of. Called them
Hmm.
up like, hey, when can I get in? They said, we can get you in 4 weeks from now.
Ooh.
And I was like, whoa. I was like, is there any way can I just walk in and just hang out in the lobby in case somebody cancels? Like, no, it's only appointment only. You can't come in. I was like, all right, well then I
This
just
was
drove myself to
this was
urgent
before
care.
COVID. This was before COVID, right?
Correct. This is in 2015.
Oh yeah.
Before COVID, before any of this, and I was like, all right, I got this VA benefit. I served my time and I got it. Let me try to utilize this. And it 4 weeks to get in. I was like, all right, let me just go down to urgent care myself, get it taken care of. And it was, probably more expensive than if I used my VA benefits, but for the urgency and the quickness that I was able to be seen, it was definitely worth it for the cost benefit
Hmm.
analysis for sure.
Right.
Then with the
Okay.
college students, I'm gonna actually no, we'll get to that. Yeah,
Hmm.
and just explaining that to them where and you just give them the numbers, give them the raw data. And that's one thing about the Republicans versus conservatives versus liberals. Conservatives are typically more logic thinkers, processes, hard data, hard facts, whereas more liberal people, they were more emotional, think with their feelings. And once you start trying to show people the facts, the hard numbers, it's hard to disagree with black and white numbers.
Okay. Okay. I totally agree. And again, guys, if you are watching, please comment, like, share this this interview. Again, we will respond to comments throughout the show, and they were always welcome. So, Jason, as far as so I know you say your parents have never been overly political, but when did you decide to become a Republican? Was there a certain moment or a certain issue?
When I first registered to get my license, when I first registered to vote, when I got my license, I picked Republican.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, as soon as I was able to register at 18, I mean, I graduated high school when I was 17, so by then I was already a Republican. Then luckily I was fortunate enough to, with the rule change that happened in 2008, if you were 18 by the time the general election happened, which was a week after my 18th birthday, you're allowed to vote in the primary. So in 2008, during the primary election for the presidential election, I cast my vote in the primary. I was very excited. First time I voted, and been voting ever since. Tried to stay involved and just trying to stay engaged. And that's more than just volunteering or going out, just reading the news, reading what's going on, going straight to the sources, and just watching the interviews that people give, watching their policy initiatives, and just being fully informed and making your best decision on your own.
Okay. Okay. And we have a question, but before I reach that, I just wanted to, as far as being a college Republican, how is that? Because the climate has really changed within the last, I'd say, 5-10 years, within, as far as the political parties. It's gotten much more divisive, it seems. Do you see that as far as, interacting on college campuses, or when you talk about politics, or just everyday life? How is it for you as a Republican?
Fortunately, at UMBC, the college Republicans that we've strived for the past few years, when I took over in 2017, the first thing I did, I got a meeting with the school administration. I had a meeting with the vice president of student affairs. I had meetings with her every other week with the college Democrats. And the idea of it was to show that what can bring us together and not to divide us. So we started doing collaborating events together where we would talk about, we'll have panel discussions, very similar to what happens with the Howard County Young Republicans, where we'll invite people in from both sides about an issue. And we talked about gun rights, gun control, immigration, education, energy, environmental issues, where we had people on the right, people on the left, and just having this panel discussion where we could talk. And now that my friend Isaac Abea, he's the current chairman of the College Republicans at UMBC, he's been working very well and bringing in people who are not typically Republicans. Like he's a Ethiopian American, and he's part of the Black Student Union, and he was our gateway to help bring minorities and other people who won't typically be Republican into our club. And it's just being able to have those conversations to show that I'm not Republicans aren't the boogeyman. We're not the evil, mean people that a lot of people might perceive us to be. When I go talk to people, even if it's like in a political environment such as at UMBC, I don't tell people that's not the first thing I tell them. It's like, oh, I'm the college Republican. I just say, I'm Jason Stein. And they meet me. I think I'm a decent, likable guy. People will start talking to me. We become friends. Then later on, they're like, oh, wait, you're a Republican? Yeah, I'm Republican. And they've already had that connection with me. They've already made that establishment, that opinion of me. And it just, you can see it, the gears turning in their head. They're like, you're not what I expected.
Right.
And it just goes down to that one-on-one personal conversations.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing you talked about with Isaac, you said he's Nigerian American, is that right?
Ethiopian
American. And so, and that's really key as far as showing people that, the party is becoming more diverse, and it's not what the media portrays the party to be or Republicans to be. And one thing that I did like about President Trump is he gave us kind of the blueprint of that, where he was the first, I think, most visible Republican that we've seen in a long time, that were going out into cities across the country and talking about what the party can do for urban centers and the minority vote. One thing I want to ask you regarding that, as you mentioned, a lot of people do view Republicans, and I'll just say it, as racist bigots. I won't say a lot. I'll say the left paints that narrative as the Republicans are racist bigots. One thing I want to get your opinion or your thoughts on, a good friend of mine, Malik Abdul, he is a conservative. He's a media consultant and strategist for the Republican Party in D.C. And he said something this week that was pretty striking to me. He said, conservatives typically only appreciate identities when touting the support the movement has. Only appreciate identities when touting the support the movement has for a certain group. So blacks and women for Trump work as slogans, but not when it comes to promoting them to positions of power and influence within the party itself. So what are your thoughts on that, as far as, if you look at the Maryland Republican Party or the National Republican Party, do you think there needs to be more people in high positions of different minorities, different genders? What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And something simple like this show right here, we should be promoting this show more widely spread throughout the Republican Party in Maryland. The young Republicans could be spreading it. We have a lot of these auxiliary groups, the state party, they should be promoting shows like this. Or we can take the model that Howard County does, the young Republicans. You were there the other week with the critical race theory panel, where
that was awesome.
We elevate minority voices, make sure they're heard. Because, we can go in an echo chamber where everybody looks like me, talk about the same thing, like, oh, yeah, I agree. But when you start getting those extra different perspectives and people who are truly affected by it, that's where it matters the most. Mm-hmm. Where you just don't want to have the one token black person in the room just say, oh, look, you want to elevate those voices, elevate everybody. And that was one of the great things I learned in the military is that there's all walks of life, all backgrounds of people who join the military. You have people who are from inner cities who've never left there, who they've friends I've made, where if they didn't get out, they would have been in a gang and probably would have been dead by now at this point. Mm-hmm. Or then you have people who grew up in a very rich family and they wanted to prove to their parents that they can do something outside of their family. And you just have to work together for the common mission. And the common mission for the Republicans is to get Republicans elected and build the party.
Yeah, I totally agree. We will answer a question. We have a question from Sam Ledoux.
Hello, Sam.
Yeah, he did. He has a question here. What does public service mean to you?
Public service is putting the people ahead of yourself. And it goes back to what I was talking about in the military, the shipmate self. If you're an elected official, you owe the people who put you in that position of power your livelihood, your job. And it's your job to represent them and put those people ahead of you. Or even if you're not an elected official like myself, I work for the Maryland Health Department with constituent services, where I will have cases every day of people trying to get issues with Medicaid, or their things are delayed, they're having some surgery issues, and being able to talk to those people, hear the story, and be able to help them out and not say, oh, this is not worth my time, because I'm just a faceless name or a faceless email that they'll send this to. But being able to take that time and hear people out and do whatever you can within your position of power to help those people who are the most at risk, the most vulnerable population. And as a bureaucrat or even elected official, you are put there for a reason. People put your faith in you. You have a higher level of integrity. And that comes back to the military, which nurses and military are the most highly respected jobs in the country. And it's up to you to maintain that. And I know a lot of politicians, bureaucrats, they are not very well trusted in the public view. And that's a shame, because they are in a position of authority that have been blessed by the people to give them their vote. There's nothing more than someone can give you is their vote, their full endorsement of I believe this person will be the best for me. This person will help our community, help my area succeed and become a better place to live, raise a family. And public service is making sure you help the people that put you there. Otherwise, you're gone in 2-4 years, however long the election term is.
Mm-hmm. And so let me ask you this. So you being, the treasurer of the Maryland Young Republicans, and what do you feel as though, I guess you can answer it with the Young Republicans or just Republicans in Maryland in general. What do you feel is probably our most challenge as far as growing the party or spreading conservatism or Republican ideals? What do you feel is an area where we can do better? And
definitely
how
in
do we
Baltimore
do better?
City.
Okay.
Definitely in Baltimore City. The urban areas, Republicans in general are losing the cities. And whether people like it or not, I mean, urbanization, metropolitan areas are going to be the future of America, the future of the world. I mean, population's growing, cities are going to be growing and growing. And just going into the cities, having this conversation. Like, one thing I love doing, like I said, during the pandemic, when everything was shut down, like, I would go to bars that were closed down and people were just getting drinks to go. And I'm like, this sucks, doesn't it? Like, yeah, this is terrible. Like, want to join the Young Republicans? We're trying to make this change. We're trying to do things. And I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And from there, I was able to help grow the Baltimore area Young Republicans, just trying to get people involved and get them engaged, find those issues. I mean, that might just be the one issue they care about, and that's fine. Then they come to the meetings and you teach them and you show them what the Republican Party is all about. And you just cannot be afraid to go to areas that you are unfamiliar with or even a little uncomfortable with going, because the Democrats are going to go there. And if that's the only message people hear, that's the only message they're going to believe and follow.
Yeah, I totally agree. Jason, you are singing my tune right there. Definitely. I was on a call.
It's almost like this was scripted, but it wasn't, I promise.
No. I mean, I can't even believe you're saying the same things you're saying. I'm like the wheels are turning in my head. So I'm just like, wow, you're right on with that. I was on a call a couple of weeks ago with some Republican leadership, and some people on the call were saying that they would never step into Baltimore City. They were like, I'm not going there. I don't want to see it. And I get that it, we have a lot of crime. I'm a Baltimorean. I've lived here for pretty much all my life. And I know that right now we do have an issue with crime. But if you don't come, then how are we going to grow the party within Baltimore City?
Also, I had the same issue when I worked for Governor Hogan's reelection campaign. I was a field organizer for Baltimore County, Baltimore City. Getting volunteers to go out door knocking in Baltimore County was easy. People wanted to go there. I had issues definitely in West Baltimore County, like Woodlawn areas, Security Boulevard. That was tough to get people there. And getting people in the city was like pulling teeth. I had to drag people out there. Like, I'll be with you. Nothing's gonna happen. Trust me. We'll start in the nicer areas,
Right.
But then, but like you said, if we don't go to the areas where they're not being targeted, they're only going to be targeted by the Democrats. And that's the message they hear, and that's the message they're going to know. And if we got to start somewhere, I mean, Governor Hogan, I mean, he made great strides in Baltimore City. He didn't win Baltimore City, but he made great strides there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he certainly did.
It's a long battle, or we can have something happen back in with Rudy Giuliani in New York City. America's mayor. Nobody expected him to win in New York City. Republican winning in New York City, where his issue was on crime, that blew everybody's mind away.
Yeah, but
People's Magazine Person of the Year after 9/11. Republicans can win in cities, and we'll need to win in cities in the future, because unfortunately the rural America is disappearing, unfortunately, and cities are growing and expanding. And that's just something we as a human race, as a party, as individuals need to accept. And we can't just forget about the cities, and eventually we're just going to be obsolete if we do.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I know you are currently running for the Maryland YR chair. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes, we have our election tomorrow evening at the Historical Oakland, right down in Columbia, Maryland, in Howard County.
All right. Well, I did have the current YR chair on last week, And so we have you on this week. So is there anything you'd like to say in regards to your candidacy there, why people should vote for you?
Absolutely. I first started getting involved in politics when I started at UMBC in 2017. I'm a Republican. They have like a college Republican meeting. I was like, okay, let me go to this. Let me see what this is about. And in that one semester, they voted for me to become the chair of the chapter, straight out. And I was like, okay, well, let's do this. What can I do to make this better? The club was, it was a typical college club. I was happy if we had 10 people at meetings. And now in these past couple of years, like I've been able to raise it to 30, 40 people coming up to the meetings, having these large events, branching out, talking to people who typically aren't Republican. And it's more than just like gender and race. It's also just majors, like political, like college majors. Because typically people that go to the political events are the political science, economics, and English majors, the humanities. But like my friend Isaac, who's the current chair, he's a biochem major. My friend Ricky, who's our treasurer, who's now the treasurer for the college Republicans, for the state college Republicans, he's a bio major. Or my friend Palumi, he's a biochem major as well. These are not typical majors for someone who's involved in politics. And just making those connections to people, like, sooner you get involved, this is going to start affecting you too. I know your major is a little bit harder than mine, I'll admit, and it's fine. But being involved and engaged and growing the chapters was my main priority. Then from there, I was chief of staff for the state college Republicans for 2 years, and just building those chapters up, making those connections, helping that pipeline going from college Republicans to young Republicans to where now in Baltimore area where I took over the chapter in June of 2019, the chapter was defunct. There was nobody running the club anymore for over a year. And I was like, all right, well, somebody's got to do this. So I was like, I was doing it. Now we have over 36 members right now and still growing. But the pandemic definitely hurt, not going to lie. And just being able to build and grow the party. And I've been able to show that I can bring people in. And, we talk about recruit, train, and elect. We need to recruit and train members of the Young Republican to find these candidates, so then we can help elect these candidates where we can get people into office. So Maryland is no longer a one-state party it's not one, so we can keep the governor's mansion, then help make the legislature not a one-state party where they can override the vetoes. If we can get those seats in, that would be huge for Maryland. And to show that we are a force to be reckoned with, we are not just going to stand by and take it. And just building that coalition of young people, and even young at heart. I mean, if you're young, if you're older than 40, come on out to our events. I mean, you saw Howard County. There was over 185 people there. By it.
You guys are doing your thing there.
And we're being recognized, and just putting in the work and making things happen.
Yeah. All right. And like I said, you guys do a great job. I mean, even with the texting and the and going out and doing the door knocking during the election season last year. So I definitely see you guys all over the place and really putting in work, and it's something to be admired. So thank you so much for all of your hard work that you've done and continue
Absolutely.
to
This
do.
is just the beginning. We got 2022 rolling around. We're just getting started.
Okay. Well, we are almost at the end of our time. Is there anything you would like to share or promote before we end the conversation?
Well, I do want to say on July 15th at CVP in Towson, we're having a Baltimore area Young Republican meeting, and we're having our elections for who will be the next chair, vice chair, treasurer, and secretary. It's welcome, free to anybody want to come on out. Even if you're not a member, come out, support, have a good time, meet people. Starts at 7 p.m. And once again, that is at CVP up in Towson.
Okay. All right. And lastly, I always end each of my conversations with one question. What is your number one concern for your community? And then what is your number one hope?
My concern is that Republicans might be giving up. where they're like, oh, this is just how it's going to be. Let's leave Maryland. We don't want Maryland anymore. And this is a beautiful state. It's America in miniature. It has beaches, mountains, everything you see. Yeah, Sam, I told people 7, so when they show up late, they get there on time.
Yeah, see,
So,
Sam is
and my hope, and my hope is that the young Republicans can be that motion of change, that inspiration that can help keep people here, keep our taxpayers here, where people would want to retire here and help make make Maryland the state that I know it can be, and that it is. It's a beautiful, wonderful state. When I got in the Navy, I could have moved anywhere I wanted, but I chose to come back home to Maryland for a reason.
Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for chatting with me tonight. Again, please, if you all want to reach out to Jason, definitely do that. You would go to the MDYR. We did put that URL on here. Yes, MDYR is on the web at mdyrs.org. Again, Jason, I wish you all the best. You said tomorrow? Is it tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow evening at the historic Oakland in Columbia, Maryland.
Okay. All right. Well, again, all the best
at 5
to you.
o'clock.
5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's early. Okay.
Yeah, we had a whole night of fun activities going on the evening, so come on out.
Really? Yeah. I mean, I'll try to come out. Definitely support you guys. So, all right. Well, again, that wraps up this episode of the 8:30 show. We are all over social media now under the name Metro Conservative Media. So like, share, and leave a comment. Follow us on our Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. We're everywhere, guys. So you got to check us out. Also, check out our webpage. We have a website now, www.metroconservativemedia.com. We'd love to get your feedback. We will keep checking the comments throughout the evening. So continue to post comments and we will respond to those. Again, I hope to connect with you next Thursday at the same time. Wishing you warm days and starry nights. Good night.